Welcome back to the channel, friends. So I'm here in the garage today and I plan on doing another Polaris modification. So that entails upgrading the pinion plate on the front differential. Now the stock one is not sufficient enough to handle the stresses and load from heavier tires and larger mud tires. So what you have to do is actually buy a reinforced pinion plate and swap that thing out, because you don't want that thing shattering when you're out in the trail or out in the field or whatever. So if that's something that's going to interest you, stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy the video. So really quick, I'm going to touch on the machine that I'll be installing the CECCO Racing pinion plate on. This is a 2018 Polaris Sportsman XP 1000 Hunter model. It still has the 26-inch Polaris PXT tires. They're a pretty decent tire for all-around trail use, but there's still something to be desired when it comes to muddier conditions. I want something with a larger lug. That's why I went ahead and bought a separate set of wheels and tires for that kind of riding. There is also going to be a clutch kit involved with this. I plan on doing an install video on that. I have the EPI Sport Utility Kit made for 27 to 28 inch tires. Okay, I didn't jump for the total mud kit. I just want to see how this one performs first. I think if you go with the mud kit, your top end is going to be affected, as in top end speed. I kind of still want this to be a quick machine and have some of that upper range available. Alright, so moving on, I'll show you what I did for a tire and rim setup. I chose the System 3 XM 310s. These are a 28 by 9.5 by 14 size, and I mounted them on a System 3 SB5 beadlock wheel. So everything is matching. These tires are just like insane. They got an 1.5 inch paddle on them. They're full on mud tires and they don't weigh too much. I do have an install video on this, so if you want to check that out, I'll put a tag right up above. I think they measure out at 54 pounds in total. The rim is 16 and the tire is 38. Okay, so it's not too heavy. There are heavier tires out there. These are kind of right up in between. So go ahead and check out that video if you're interested in that. Really good looking wheels and tires. I mean, they're gonna look so sick on this machine. They really are. But I want to make sure I upgrade that front differential and add a clutch kit before I put them on to really get the full kind of performance out of them. So here we have my girlfriend's new machine. This is a Sportsman 850 Premium Trail. And it is one superb machine. I can tell you from riding it the other day that the clutching is better on these new machines, and these tires that come with the trail model are freaking insane. They have so much grip. It's crazy. I was so shocked how good of a grip these tires have. Really impressed. So great machine. It's got all sorts of cool features, somewhat like the Hunter model has, which includes like arched A-arms. You get a 3,500 pound worn winch already installed. You got these cool headlights that are LED. What else? You get the cut and sewn seat. I think it also has sealed bearings and bushings where you can actually grease them. Arched A-arms, if I haven't said that already. Pretty much it's like the same machine as an XP 1000. It really is. It's the same chassis, same bodywork. So one thing it doesn't have that I will be adding is the Polaris heated grips and thumb. That's something that she wants for sure here in New England when we're out there riding in the cold. I will be adding that on soon, so stay tuned for that video. I'll do a whole install video on what it takes to install that whole kit. Pretty much, you know, it really comes hooked up. You know, it has that larger winch. I mean, this one is 3,500 pounds. The one that came in mine factory was only 2,500 pounds, so that was a bonus right there. Tires are phenomenal. I cannot speak any more about the tires. I mean, they're just like really great all-terrain tires. They hook up so well, and you don't slip when you're going on a really steep decline. This thing in ADC mode will not slip whatsoever. You feel so confident and so planted. Really impressed with it. Alright, so that's the Sportsman 850 Premium Trail, and let's go to the workshop now and I'll show you what comes with the CECCO Racing kit. So here is the pinion plate. As you can see, it's much more reinforced than the stock aluminum casted one. It's fully CNC machined out of one piece of billet. It comes with screws and it comes with instructions. So pretty clear instructions. Doesn't seem like it's too hard to do. I'll work through the process myself here and I'll show you on video what it takes to get it done. And so let's go ahead and jack up the ATV and get this process started. Okay, so this is what the pinion plate looks like when you take it off the machine. I'm gonna have to fully clean this. It is pretty nasty. There's, you know, all bunch of fluid in here and metal shavings. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off camera with some brake cleaner. Okay, and then the instructions say to reuse this O-ring here. So we're gonna reuse the O-ring. I'm going to take this off. It's a square O-ring. It's not a round one. Okay, so be careful with that. That pops right off. And then just clean this up the best you can. You don't want any metal shavings or anything. You want it to be totally kind of clean when you reassemble the actual pinion gear back onto the CECCO Racing pinion plate. So I'm just going to hit this really quick with the rag. So they want you to clean this surface here with some emery cloth or 400 to 500 grit sandpaper. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and also hit it with brake cleaner after that to get everything off of there. So I have some Scotch-Brite here. I'm just going to spin this in the Scotch-Brite and kind of polish that surface there where the bearings run. They want you to get all the corrosion off of this, basically, if there is any. There really isn't any on mine. My machine's pretty new. It's only a couple years old. So that looks pretty good. And then I have some 2000 grit sandpaper. I will also use that just as a finishing touch, just because I have some laying around. It says just to use 400 to 500 grit sandpaper if that's all you have. But you want a polishing paper for sure. Okay, that looks nice and clean. No corrosion on there. Feels smooth. So this is the part obviously we're going to reuse, and this is going to go right into the new housing, the new pinion plate. And it looks good. I mean, still tight. No play in this whatsoever. Like I said, there's a lot of oil, and within the oil is a lot of metal shavings. So I'm not sure if I should be concerned about that. There's no gears that have been ground or like have any damage on them. So I think everything's okay. They just might be just the nature of break-in since this is a new machine, being 2 years old. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and clean this with brake cleaner. I'll be right back. Okay, so everything is nice and clean. I applied some brake cleaner to the pinion gear. Got that nice and clean. Stripped it of all the old oil and debris. And then I went ahead and applied assembly lube to both parts. You'll want to make sure to get it all in these bearings. All in the bearing on the inside here. Okay. And I applied grease to the O-ring groove and put the O-ring back in. Make sure it's seated nice and flat. And those are ready to assemble. But first I want to just go over and show you the stock one. The stock one is just an aluminum casting. It's got these small gussets that span the outside of this boss. Okay. But on the CECCO Racing one, you have a larger boss and it's reinforced. Okay. All the way around, it's a much thicker diameter. And the flange is thicker on the top side here. So you would apply the longer screws to the top flange where it's thicker, and then the shorter screws go in the bottom when I go to reassemble it. And pretty much, I mean, for stock usage, this is fine. And once you step up to heavier tires, you're gonna want this because of this nice thicker flange and thicker boss. Okay, it's also about 50 thousandths taller than the stock one, so you have some more length there. But essentially, it breaks here. It snaps off at the flange when you have that higher stress and that higher torque on this component. It shears right off right here, and then you're left with a drive shaft kind of like bouncing around in your frame, scratching up your powder coat. So definitely, you don't want to be stuck out in the trail with this broken. I mean, you could drive in two-wheel drive, but it's not going to be fun. This thing's going to obviously be causing all sorts of damage because I think it continuously spins as the machine's running. Okay, it gets engaged in the differential to engage the front wheels. So on the CECCO Racing, it's some pretty impressive CNC machining here. It was milled out on a 3-axis machine for sure. Really nice finish, no chatter. Really high quality component here. It's got this nice CECCO Racing logo engraved in there. Too bad you can't see it once it's installed. Really nice component. I mean, it's thicker, and pretty much this is what it takes to really make that machine bulletproof. Okay, so it's as simple as just sliding this in and making sure it's fully seated. Give it a couple rotations now. And there you go. You have it all assembled again, and it's ready to put in the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and clean out the machine, clean the frame out, get all that oil out of there, clean the mating surface for this, and then we'll continue on from there. Okay, so we're almost done now. The CECCO pinion plate is installed, fully torqued down to 10 foot-pounds. Blue Loctite was applied to all the threads of the screws. Be very careful on the hardware because it does strip very easily. And now we have to just fully drain and fill the front differential with 9.3 ounces of demand fluid, okay? So I'll go on the other side so I can show you better how to drain it. So the drain is going to be right underneath here, okay? You're going to need a 5/16 Allen wrench for that. And then the fill is right over here, okay, right there. So you back that off, and then you basically fill it till it comes out of that port, okay? So the machine has to be level when you're doing that. I'm going to level off the machine after I drain it, and then I will fill it right up to the bottom of that port. It's going to pour out, and that should give you the 9.3 ounces if you don't have a measuring container to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, the front diff, and I might as well go ahead and drain the rear diff, okay? The rear diff is pretty easy. You have those two ports right there. So the bottom one is going to be for the drain, obviously. And then the top one right there, okay, is going to be your fill. So you're going to fill it right up to the bottom of that port, and it's going to pour out, and then you're good. Machine has to be level, of course. So right there and there. I'm going to go ahead and do that as well because I have the fluid on hand, and I might as well change them out at the same time. So there's a little magnetic feature in there. All your little shavings are going to stick to that, so you make sure you want to clean that off. That way the new fluid has a magnet to stick to, okay? And pretty much it's already drained, just a little bit came out of there, and I'm just going to reinstall this now and fill it back up. Tighten it up by hand first, and then you can snug it down with your ratchet. These take 10 foot-pounds. That's it. All right, so like I showed you, fill port is right in the front here on the right-hand side of the machine. If you were sitting on it, you can see it right there. Okay, I'm gonna go in and back this out. Really quick, clean the threads. Not bad. So this is what I got going on. Got the demand drive bottle, and I'm just inserting this in here, and I'm gonna pull it right out. I'm going to feed the tube right into the front diff. And then just start squeezing. So we're just going to watch till it starts pouring out that bottom of that port, and then we're good. The machine is level, so we should get an accurate reading. Looks like we gotta fill up a third time. Not a big deal. Okay, now it's starting to pour out. Yep, we're good. We're just gonna put the excess back into the bottle. Take your plug, screw it back in by hand first. Then take your torque wrench and 10 foot-pounds. Okay, and that's complete. The front diff has been drained and properly lubricated. Now off to the rear diff. I'm going to do the same thing. Still a lot of metal shavings in this too. So it's a good idea on your first service probably to change these fluids out. Just give it a couple minutes to drain out fully. Really not getting too much out of this now. Make sure you install the magnetic drain plug first. Oh. Everything's so slippery once you get your hands full of oil. Same thing with this. This is going to be 10 foot-pounds. So same thing we did with the front, we're going to do in the back. We're just going to fill up the syringe and then keep on squeezing it in there until it doesn't take anymore and it pours out the port. Oh, starting to weep out. So it takes about 12 ounces, 12 to 13 ounces. Seems like. I'll keep on going. Okay, now it's fully coming out. And just like the drain bolt, this is 10 foot-pounds. Okay, and we are done filling the front and rear differential. Well guys, that's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, please place them right down below. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.